25 November 2022. In today's Skidmark, I'm going to talk about something that's been bothering me a lot, and I've been thinking about it a lot. South Africa has got a major issue with unemployment. The problem that we are faced with is that we sit here with a large portion of the population that are really so unschooled and so illiterate that they have no idea of why the hell they are in the position that they find themselves. They are totally disconnected from reality. You get a statement like this that appears on Twitter. Black people invented everything. What the fuck is that? Where does she come from? Where does she get that information to make a statement like that? All she is actually doing is that she is trying to create the illusion that they are not in the shit that they are. This is the problem that we have. And this is a big problem. The old apartheid system paid a lot of attention to education. And yes, there is people that make statements that the education system was only for the whites, which is totally bullshit. If you go and look at the real facts and you look at the facts that is published facts of what portion of the apartheid regime's budget was spent on black education, it is enormous. And they built black schools, and they built technical colleges, and they built education colleges, and they built universities for blacks. All of those things for the black population. Yes, it could not accommodate the whole population, but for fuck's sakes, it was a small portion of the population that were physically contributing to the fiscus. But these are things that they ignore. In the old system, in the apartheid system, there were technical schools where people were educated in technical skills. There were education colleges where teachers got a diploma, not a degree. There were black universities that specialized in training black people for professional qualifications. There was an inspectorate that were severely vicious on the schools to ensure that they deliver the standard of education that is required. These are things that these black militants just don't pay any attention to it. What was the biggest crime that this ANC committed towards the black population? Let me tell you what it was. Point number one, the destruction of this education system. The destruction of technical schools, technical colleges, colleges for teachers. Those things were the first things that they destroyed. Why did they do that? Because they knew by doing that, they will send young black people into a life of misery and illiteracy. And that is what they did. Don't fool yourself. This ANC cabal is absolutely brutal and ruthless, and they don't give a fuck for your suffering. And what you as a black person, if you are a young black unemployed person, must clearly understand, the signs are fucking clear that the top structure of the ANC is also part of the WEF cabal. And here comes the shocker. You, uneducated, unemployed, are labeled as a useless eater by the WEF. And you are earmarked for elimination. Think about that. Now, I did a Skidmark on black education in South Africa, and I suggest you go and look at that thing, because the realities are the unemployed, employed young black people are mostly unemployable because the qualifications they have means nothing. What was this shit of reducing the pass rate from 50 to 30? What happened since 94? White people invested a lot in their children because they know that children must be educated. The Model C schools are under tremendous attack by the ANC. Why? Because those schools are still delivering quality education, and the ANC cannot tolerate that. You must not be able to be educated. Look at what happened with the technical side. A guy will pitch up on a building site and he's got a square and he gives himself out as a carpenter. And you as the employer are forced by the labor laws and the unions to accept that man's word that he is a carpenter. You cannot check his real qualifications. So you have to employ him as a carpenter. In the old days, before you could call yourself a carpenter, there was a 5-year training period. And then you went to the technical college at Olifantsfontein, and you wrote your NT exam there. And if you pass it, you come back and then you had to work under supervision of a qualified artisan for a certain period of time before you were allowed to call yourself an artisan. A black guy pitches up on a building site with a trowel and he gives himself out as a bricklayer. Fuck. Yes, there are guys that are good, but the bulk, they don't know how to do it. Go and look at the shit in the building industry. But the reality is this, it is tweets like this cock. Black people invented everything. And then you get this. Being black is the greatest thing that I am. I pride myself in being black. We are descendants of great thinkers and inventors. We come from an ancestral line of intellects. Don't let the system make you doubt yourself. Rise in your greatness. Black power. And this was the same genius that tweeted that blacks is the only race in the world that has got natural intellect. They don't need to study for anything. They can be a doctor, they can be an engineer, they can be an architect, they can be a computer programmer, they can be everything without studying for it, because they've got natural intellect. This is what is ruining the black population. We are sitting today in a place where our country, the quickest way to recover our economy is small businesses. But for fuck's sakes, to have a successful small business, you need qualifications, you need experience, you need guidance, you need mentors. That is what you need. Look at the difference between a white guy and a black guy starting a small business. If that white guy, he will start and do something that he is skilled in and that he can make money from. And you will see him driving with his old bakkie, doing his job and making a living. And then you see these black entrepreneurs, and I know them, they've come to businesses of people that I know. They walk in there, they've got a tender from the government for a job or something. And the first fucking thing he does, he buys the most expensive car he can afford. That's the first thing he does. Not build a business, not employ people. Fuck that. Fancy car, fancy clothes, and a lot of expensive booze. And that's what it is. And tonight he parks that fucking R2 million car next to a sink kaya. But that doesn't bother him. Nothing in that environment rings bells in his head. Why? Because he's got no fucking clue what it takes to run a small business. That's the reality. And then you get a tweet like this. A kid born in 2010 is now 18 years Let that sink in. And this was posted in 2018. And then she replies, and she calls herself Professor Yinka. I never thought I would need to explain a basic math, but since we here. Kid born in 2010, now is 2018. So you add the 10 to the 8, it's 18. Simple math. So the kid is 18 years in 2018. How the fuck did that thing get to the place where she called herself a professor? But this is the problem. Nobody wants to talk about this shit. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that the ANC deliberately fucked the education system up. Deliberately. Look at Lesotho, what he did, and the effort he's put in to fuck the schools up in Gauteng. Look at that Blade Nzimande, what did he do to fuck the higher education systems. This is the problem. In my days, as a young white guy, born in the 50s, every year at school, we had to write an IQ test, and there were tests to indicate what your natural inclination is. And if those tests showed that you are technically more suitable for society, the school system will place you into a technical stream, and that's where you go. And other people were marked for professional qualifications, and they were streamed in the stream that will get university acceptance. But these blacks, they're of the opinion that every fucking black child has got the right to go to a university at a hell of a cost for that student, and then they don't pass. I've seen statistics of how few blacks actually qualify after 4 years at university. It is a frightfully fucking small percentage. But they don't want to publish that, they don't want to make that known. The reality of life is, some people are intellectually suitable for intellectual education. Some people are physically suited for technical education. That is the reality. And there's no shame in being a welder. There's no shame in being a bricklayer. There's no shame in being a mechanic. There's no shame in that. And those are the things that you do because you have got the ability to do those things. But there's a fucking story running among blacks that they can be anything they want. That is total bullshit. Why are there so many small businesses, white small businesses, where it's artisans that drive those businesses? Plumbers, electricians, boiler makers, fitters and turners, engineering shops. They are there, and it's white artisans. But that artisan has got a solid background. He was well trained. And that training facilities has been destroyed by the ANC, and these blacks, although they claim to have superior intellectual abilities, they're too fucking stupid to see that their leadership is destroying their future. And that is the story. And then you get this, I just want to mention it. Russia in 1913 had the most engineering students enrolled in universities. You can read the rest of it. That is in 1913. And then you get this situation. Listen to this. Despite being clouded in controversy related to COVID-19 procurement scandals in Gauteng, former health MEC and former presidential spokesperson have been elected as provincial executive committee members of the ANC in Gauteng. And there is one of the problems of you black people. You black people that are struggling. That is why you are struggling. You select shit to lead you. Do you want to tell me in the whole black population you cannot find people amongst you that are more suitable to actually manage your future than this. That is not fucking intellectual. That is stupid. And then you get this. This is the minister in charge of higher education. If ANC loses power, land will return to the whites. What shit is that? What shit is that? The whites built, under white management, this country was built into a first world. Under black management, it's been fucked to a third world. And it's there for you to see. Just look at your Eskom blackout shit, and you know what I'm talking about. And then you get this. Phumlani Majosi made this post. And then maybe one day we will have an honest discussion on how many successful black banks, black insurance firms, black wealth management firms, law firms have been founded since 1994. At the moment, we're desperate for seats in companies founded by the white minority. Truth. And then you get this fucking Einstein genius that answers him. And I have to put my glasses on. Every company built on our land belong to all of us. These utterances of start your own schools, own hospitals, own businesses is nonsense. These are built by sweat and hard work and at times free labor of Africans. So every one of them belong to us. That is your problem, black people. That is why you are suffering and struggling, because you allow people from your community to make stupid fucking posts like this. Just imagine if you are a black guy that has battled to get yourself educated and you've started your own business and you've built that business into something worthwhile. And me as a white guy walks in there and say, listen, that business actually belongs to all of us. You've got no right to it. Fuck, I'm sure you're not going to be happy about that. The problem is this. You black people, you allowed this ANC to destroy your education opportunities. Now you're sitting with a massive amount of unskilled, illiterate young people unemployed. The most tragic part of it, they are unemployable. And you are trying to pacify them with shit like BEE. If white people start businesses, it is always, well, most of the time like that they create job opportunities. More important is that small business, that small white business, is there to help black guys that does the same thing and want to do the same business for themselves. They can be mentored by the white people. They can learn from the white people. I have lived my life by a simple thing. Only a fool tries to learn from his own experience. Think about that. Chew on it. Why must I suffer through a process that somebody else has already gone through and I can see the result? All I need to look at is the result to understand that this is a shit plan. And I don't have to do the whole fucking 9 yards. This is the difference. It's attitude. Viktor Orban made it clear. The difference is not about race. It is about culture. The white people in general has a culture. They have this culture of creating, of making things work. This is their culture. Look at Orania as a small community. Go and look at the condition of the streets. Look at the environment. It's not filled with rubbish and piles of garbage everywhere. It is clean and it is functional. They are not a rich town, but they are a town that offers proper, decent living conditions. Then you go to the black communities and you look at those communities and look at the filth there, because there's nobody there that tells the children and teach the children. Don't litter. I grew up in a time where the government ran programs in the schools that trained us as kids not to litter. Who remembers the Zibican shit? Those are things that are part of our culture. You keep on fucking focusing on race, and in the process you are destroying your own race. You are denying your own race growth opportunities. You do it, not me, a white guy. You do it. White people in general understand that they must first look at themselves before they look at others. And this is the problem. Black children are denied education. They are kept illiterate. This 30% pass rate fuck up, what did that end up in? The reality is that an employer looks at your 30% pass matric certificate and he shrugs his shoulders because he knows that you are definitely not qualified and that you will have to be retrained from scratch. So he rather take a person that is actually qualified. Your matric certificate means fuck all if you leave our country's borders. Nothing. And then you had that genius of ANC that made a statement that those that are selling fraudulent matric certificates is only trying to make a living, and those certificates are actually well produced. Think about that. Think about that. Black people, you are suffering today because you allowed your leadership to bullshit you and destroy your opportunity to get educated. Hate me, I don't give a continental fuck about that. The reality is, you are unemployed because you are unemployable. And your leadership is neck deep in with the WEF. And that WEF labels you as a useless eater. And they are going to remove you. Think about that. Thank you for your time. Please hit the like and subscribe if you want to. And share the thing. Thanks.